Los Angeles, California comes producer, beatmaker, and artist Cash One. Known for his production work with Hazerd on the long-running 40-ounce Freestyle Fridays, Cash One is also produced for XP the Marksman, MC Prospect, and more, while continuing to build his catalog through Miho Music Records. Deeply rooted in Los Angeles hip-hop culture, Cash One's talents extend into b-boying, graffiti, tattooing, show organizing, promoting, and more. As a member of the Six-Sided Army, he's also deeply connected to Big Duke, Six Jackin, and the Psycho Realm movement, further cementing his roots in LA underground hip-hop. Those roots also run through his father, the legendary LA tattoo artist Fat George, connecting Cash One's story to generations of West Coast tattoo, graffiti, and street culture. Tune in as we talk about his journey in hip-hop, his work as a producer, and what is that coming next on the Cristopolis Show number 297. From Los Angeles, California, comes producer, beatmaker, and artist Cash One. We're going to bring him in and talk to him about his recent production with Hazerd on his Freestyle Friday sessions, his beat making, his work with Miho Music, and what is that coming next. Let's bring him in. Peace, peace, peace.
Jeez, brother, what's up, man?
My brother, thank you so much. What an honor to have you on the Cristopolis Show.
Man, the honor is mine, brother. It feels really good to actually be right here and talk to you, man. I respect what you do for the culture, man. I really do. My hat's off to you, man.
Thank you, my brother. I really appreciate that, especially coming from you. You have such a deep history and lineage in the culture beyond what you've done. It goes generations at this point, plus all the people you're connected with and everything that you do. Probably a good place to start for people just to know a little bit more about you and to know where you're currently very active, right? People have been seeing you on Hazard's, 40-ounce Freestyle Fridays, right?
Yeah.
You've been lacing the beats, but then you guys have been adding more dynamic with having you on the MPC, like on camera behind him. Talk to us about that and how that all started.
You know what? To be honest with you, and shout out to my G Hazard. We kind of linked up. I mean, I've been hearing about Hazard for a cool minute, as he deserves, man. He's really been putting in work for over 10 years now.
Yeah.
And I've just kind of been linked with people that have just kind of been, in the same network, you know what I'm saying? And obviously, I mean, I kind of heard of him before I was a producer and stuff like that. So rest in peace to the other homie, EQ.
Yeah, man. Rest in peace to EQ. What a legend. He
Yeah,
impacted so many careers.
he did, brother. And a lot of the drums and insight that I got, even when I first started, came from EQ himself. So,
Wow.
a lot of the drums that you hear came from him through, I still use those very much to this day. And he gave me those 10 years ago, bro. But again,
Wow.
back to where like linked up with Hazard, we were just kind of, celebrating EQ's life. We went to his funeral and his services and stuff, and he had kind of mentioned that he had needed some artwork for his album coming up for a High Socks and Low Fi.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I could do some letters for you, but I'm not really into like too much of the graphic design stuff yet. I was still kind of learning it on the iPad and stuff. So again, we connect again later, and he was like, "Yeah, can you do that for me?" So I get on the letters, and then it turns out to me doing the whole cover, bro. And then I did all
Wow.
the
And that's such a dope project. And that font, did you design that font?
yeah, man. I just basically just hand wrote it out. And it just one thing led to another. He was just like, "Hey, man, can you do this? Can you do that?" And I was like, "I don't know, bro." I was like, "I'll try." And it just kept going from one thing. He's like, "You know what? That's perfect, bro." He's like, "Dude, you're on a roll." And then, I mean, it wasn't like every time I nailed it, but I would be like, "You know what? All right, cool. Let me go back to the drawing board and let me see what I could do." And like again, shout out to Hazard, bro, because he did bring out like the best in me. He did make me go and try to learn some shit and to actually to finish the work to get the job done, and I
Wow.
did it, bro. And it's cool. So we kind of linked up on that.
And that's such a dope album, right? And Hazard had
All
He,
bangers, all
yeah, it's got
bangers.
nothing but bangers. The name of the album is dope. The artwork, right? It's got the legendary Julio G on it, right? So it's like,
Yeah, it's
it's such a good project to be a part of.
Yeah, you know what? I'm honored to be obviously because I've heard Julio G growing up as a kid on the radio, and this is
Yeah.
when I didn't know that I would be a part of that, movement later on in my life, it's just everything's kind of just surreal the way everything comes together, and thank good that I can do more than just one thing to be able to connect with artists, bro.
Yeah. That's one of the, I guess, special things about your talent, right? You're on the beats, but then you're also on the design part of it. And you're sharing right now that album cover, right? But talk to us about, where the font and all of that, does that come from an earlier graffiti past?
Pretty much. I mean, I've sat there for hours and days. I've done alphabets. When I was in it, I was in it. When I was hardcore, and that's kind of where the whole mask thing comes from.
Yeah.
I've had people ask me like, "Oh, are you scared of COVID, or like, is it because?"
Yeah, this is before COVID.
Yeah, this is like I've got pictures that predate all of that shit. Like we're talking 20 years ago, bro. You know what I'm saying? With the bandana on my face, and it's just always been about incognito with the graffiti and stuff, man.
Yeah.
It's always been that way, and I mean that's just it's just where it goes. It just everything's kind of trickled down, to where it's at right now. And when I linked up with him with Hazard, it was just weird, like I already done Master of Styles, and he was like, bro, he's like, keep it simple. He's like, because I know you can get down. I can know you
Yeah,
can.
yeah, but people got to read it.
Yeah, and
Like the
that was the
people that
hard.
are deep in the culture, they understand what you're doing. But for somebody that's, just kind of more surface, they could get lost.
That was the hardest part for me was to try to keep it, simple. And I'm like, bro, I'm used to, just letting it flow,
Yeah,
but
showing your skill.
when it comes to design and stuff like that, it's a whole nother ball game, and
Yeah.
you got to understand that, So I definitely appreciate the way he made me think differently when it came to that.
Yeah. For you have the ability with the ink and the pens and the spray paint cans and the markers, but moving into, doing the medium of digital artwork and things like that, what did you have to learn? Maybe what tools did you use that took a kid that's well known in the graffiti street scene to, creating artwork that would be on Spotify and Apple Music, Amazon Music, physical copies? What kind of things did you have to learn that were different?
You know what, bro? I was stubborn, bro. I, I was doing things the hard way for so long, and even Big Tiny that was doing a lot of design works for like Cycle Realm, for many years. He was like, bro, do you know vectoring and stuff like that? And I was like, no. He's like, bro, he's like, you need to get on that ASAP,
Yeah,
and I didn't listen to him. I still kept doing things by hand, and years later, I'm like, kicking myself in my own butt because I'm like, bro, I'm barely learning this stuff, But it was Procreate that really got me going on that. I seen my kids and they were doing stuff. I was like, how are you doing that? You
yeah,
know,
man. They know things.
yeah, my kids are artists themselves too. Shout out to my kids; they inspire me too. So
That's beautiful.
I seen them on the Procreate, and I'm like, yo, give me that. Let me see. Let me see this. And I just kind of I got addicted to it. My girl kind of she seen the passion, and she, she got me the iPad and the iPad pencil, and she supported me. Shout out to my lady too.
That's dope. Yeah,
For
that's
that.
beautiful. Was the Hazard album cover and artwork the first official record that you did the artwork for?
Actually, yeah, that is my first official cover designing, and then after that, he's hit me up. I've done like song covers and stuff for him for like certain releases and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
So
because you did the one that he had with Dodger ES, right?
yeah, the shut up one.
Yeah, because I could tell the font when I saw the font immediately. I was like,
Right.
oh, that's Cash for sure.
Yes, sir. Yeah, he had kind of just sent me the idea, and he had kind of like sent me the picture, and he was just like, you know what, do your thing, bro. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, okay. You know what I mean? Let me see what I come up with. And he was like, yo, bro, it's fire. He's like, I need to send it in right now. And boom, they got it approved. And again, it's just, just making history with my boy Hazard, bro. Shout out to him.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely. So
um,
how does that transition, like, did he already know that you made beats? Had you guys already worked on music, or did the artwork then kind of move to him rapping over your beats?
you know what? I think he did know of it even through like the homeboy DJ Nympho. Shout out to
Yeah.
DJ Nympho.
Yeah.
Um, I ended up rocking Hazard's birthday party, I believe it was last year.
That's dope.
And after he heard my live set, he was like, "Yo, like I need to fucks with you." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it was kind of like at that, and then some time went by, and then I looked at a 40 ounce Friday one day, and I was just like, "Hey, you know what?" Like I messaged him like, "Yo, bro, we need to get to work, bro." You know what I'm saying? So since I've been done like already like 18 or 19 of these 40 ounce Fridays with
Yeah.
Hazard.
And those, they're
Um,
so dope, man, because they become a part of like your life, Like every Friday, it almost reminds you that it's Friday, right? Hazard shows up
right?
and he's got a banger, and now so many of these bangers have been produced by you.
Oh man, it's like I said, it's been exciting. The first few were just like, oh wow, you know what I'm saying? Like I didn't, I didn't think that it was gonna make that much of an impact, and then just continuing to do. I mean, I think we did like a month where it was like a month straight, or like almost 2 months straight of just going at it. But
Yeah.
we're actually putting together a full length album,
Oh, that's
full length.
good.
Yeah, not an EP, not we're not gonna shortchange any. Everybody's really been asking. They want it, so we're gonna give them a full album. I'm gonna do the pretty much the artwork as well. I'm gonna design the merch and stuff like that. So it's
You're
gonna
gonna
be
do the
a
you're gonna do the those kind of like for your talents, a whole project, like all your skill sets coming together in support of his songs.
yeah. And then the title, it's pretty much just gonna be called Single Needles and Gunpowder. It's pretty much almost like a dedication, almost to like the legacy of my pops as well. We're gonna be
Wow.
combining hip hop culture with the West Coast tattoo culture, and just kind of telling a story
Yeah.
um, based on like stories that he's obviously um, gone through with prison and stuff like that, and also getting tattoos outside as well. We all have different stories. Tattoo stories is like therapy to a lot of people when you go. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
we're gonna put together a nice little story to tell with this one.
Yeah, the concept for that album, given that it's your dad and he's, rest in peace to your father, a
Thank you, brother.
famous
Thank
a
you.
famous tattoo artist, Fat George, who had a tattoo shop. I'll let you kind of expand on that. But, being that that's coming from your side, how did Hazard kind of connect to that idea? Tattoo culture is like so prevalent on the West Coast, especially in Los Angeles. You come from that lineage. Hazard is a street poet. Talk to us about how that idea came together to make this album in dedication to your dad.
We were just chopping it up one day, and we just kind of noticed that we have like again a lot of the same people in our network. And I was
Yeah.
like, bro, like in the tattoo world, I was like, bro, like I'm like a whole nother, it comes from a whole nother entity, bro. It's like
Yeah, it's like a
somebody else over.
culture, kind of like hip hop. It's its own thriving culture.
It most definitely is, man, and it's by either word of mouth or reputation, and it could either be good or bad, and definitely you don't want it to be bad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And my dad was just he was a real old school kind of guy. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of legendary tattoo artists like Mark Mahoney and Corey Miller. I've got to watch these guys as a little kid. Mark Mahoney used to give me fake tattoos like with a pen when there was nobody in the shop. I'd bug him. You know what I mean? Little asshole. The owner's
Yeah, the
son and
owner's
shit.
son.
The owner's son. You know what I mean? Like, yo, hook me up. You know what I mean? But shout out to Mark Mahoney. He's tattooed my mom. He's
Wow.
stuff like that. He's done my portrait of my pops on me. He didn't charge me not a damn thing. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Like, um, he's gifted me tattoo machines and stuff like that. Mark Mahoney and these cats, they've definitely made their mark in the industry, and to have been able to have witnessed that as a kid, and known that I'm a part of that as well. Man, it just, those are big steps to fill. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah,
Those really are. You know what I'm saying? So to understand like that, my perspective on that, I really like, I put in a lot of work with tattooing, but I felt like this with music was like my one chance to do something that I really like, that I chose myself.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Absolutely.
tattooing, tattooing was something that was like, like a trade handed down, obviously, to, from your pops or something like that. And my dad always told me that was like something like that could be my fallback or something. He's like, but you could always do whatever you want. But when I was a little kid, I didn't want to do nothing but be like my pops. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So that's
yeah.
why doing this and being a part of this now and being able to make my own footsteps in something and still represent where I came from, that's big for me, you know?
That's really good, man. That's good. Your dad, you know, it's I think it's important to also capture this part of his story and Los Angeles culture. Was the owner of a tattoo shop where telling us that all these people were there. Tell us about that tattoo shop, where it was, the name of it, some of the history behind it, because that's an important part of LA culture.
That tattoo shop was in the heart of a neighborhood called Bassett. And my dad happened to be from another neighborhood, La Puente. He was from Barrio Puente. And then there was another neighborhood called Monte Flores from El Monte. They're all surrounding borders right there.
Yeah.
Um, the way my dad kind of just came about that tattoo shop was just really like some outlaw gangster shit. You know what I'm saying? The dude that was running it at the time, he wasn't running it up to the way that the dude, he was kind of being disrespectful, I guess. I don't really know too much of the whole gist
Right.
of it, you know what I'm saying? But Colonel Todd was the main owner of it, and he had owned shops from Long Beach all the way to 29 Palms,
Wow.
and he was like a real, like, really military man, and real, he had a lot of respect as far as the culture and the industry, even,
Yeah.
then. What was going on, I really don't understand, but my pops ended up having to just tell dude, like, hey, you got to shake the spot. So my dad pretty much did Colonel Todd a favor by, upholding his reputation and telling God, you got to get out of here.
Wow.
Um, so because my dad did that for him, dude basically just gave the shot to my dad and said, you know what?
Wow.
This is yours. You did that. This is yours now. And my dad and Colin Todd had a really good relationship. I've been to his ranch. I rode his horses and stuff like that. Um,
Wow.
People don't even, like, a lot of these guys in the industry, like, they don't even know who Colin Todd is, bro. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, hey,
They
he's
got to
such
do the
a,
knowledge.
yeah, they really do. It's such a big part of, like, the pioneers of this, like Colin Todd, Burt Grimm, the Robert Shaw and Bobby Shaw, Rick Walters, the Pike in Long Beach, bro. Like, the history of that, just it's really deep when it comes to that. So I'm definitely honored to be a part of that. My pops, he did what he had to do with that. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
That's beautiful. And your dad was in the movie. Can you share with us the name of the movie? And
Yeah.
I pulled a clip. I pulled a clip for the intro
You,
video.
you know what? I'm gonna actually grab the actual
Yeah,
DVD.
yeah. If you
Okay, give
have
me
it
a
there.
second. Let me grab it real quick.
Yeah, people need to know.
So the movie is called Hold Me, Thrill Me, Kiss Me.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't see what the glare. It's got Adrian Shelley in it, and it's got let's see, what's her name? Sean Young. Sean Young is the girl that actually plays Lieutenant Einhorn in Ace Ventura: Pet Detective.
Okay.
She comes out in like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. But yeah, she comes out in this movie as well. She's kind of a cuckoo head in there. She plays like a little bank robbery with this dude right here, and they're like toxic couple, and he wants to get away from her, so he goes to El Monte, which is like,
Yeah, right around right.
yeah. So they're like at a trailer park and stuff like that, and then it's just one of those real, like a real gritty movie. It wasn't like, obviously like a big cinema hit at the time, but Yeah, so they end up going to like strip clubs, and it's it's obviously like an adult movie and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
they go to the shop, and he gets her a tattoo. My dad his big line is that'll be $50. But
Hey, that's a good line. Dad was getting paid.
right.
Is it shot in the shop?
Yeah, it's actually in our shop. You know what I'm saying? I think my brother and my dad's one of his youngest brothers are like in the background on our little arcade game that we had right there and shit. You know what I mean?
That's cool.
But yeah, it was definitely cool. I never seen it until maybe like 19 years after my pops had passed away. My lady kind of like
Wow.
found the movie like online. She ordered it one day and like kind of surprised me.
That's awesome.
And I hadn't seen that shit because my dad passed away when I was 13 years old. Rest
Yeah.
in peace.
Rest
So
in peace.
19 years later to see that actual clip, bro, like it drew a tear. You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? Yeah. So
Absolutely.
shout out to her for doing that for me too.
Yeah. That's one of the beauties of art, like whether it's a movie or whether it's a mural, a photograph, or music, it creates legacy and it
It's
allows things
forever
to kind of
etched.
continue on outside of just your memory. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, it's forever etched in history, man. Whether it's for a couple of seconds or not. I
Yeah.
mean, it only took a couple of seconds for the planes, to hit the Twin Towers, but
Facts.
look at how many clips and how many times we've seen that, and
That's true.
but not that that's comparable to that. You know what I'm saying? But just
Yeah.
to give as in reference of what a split second can mean when it comes
Yeah.
to being caught on camera and stuff like that.
Absolutely. No, it's beautiful that your father's in that movie, and thank you for sharing the DVD. I'm gonna order it now. Because I have a big physical media
Oh, thank you,
collection,
brother. Thank you.
and I want that. I want to be able to look back and be like, that's Cash One's father, and I did the interview with him, and I could
Thank you,
watch the
brother.
movie, and the scene comes, and I'll tell my kids, and things kind of just go on like that
Thank you,
forever.
brother.
But he
Thank
had
you.
such an impact on LA and on you, and you're doing your part now to carry tradition and have an impact. Can you tell us about how you got into tattooing, and then talk to us about how you got into like writing and street writing and stuff like that?
Tattooing, I mean, obviously that was always gonna be like the inevitable for me.
Yeah,
Honestly, I probably should have got into it sooner, like in high school.
yeah.
But I was in high school. That's when I was more active, like in going to the backyard parties and b-boying, and I was pop blocking on everybody and all that good
Wow.
stuff. Yeah, we were going to like the Power 106 events and stuff like that, like the Strawberry Sundays and all that good stuff. But a tattooing, like I said, I mean, ultimately I dove into that into like my 20s because I needed a job, needed a way to
Yeah,
make
yeah,
make some money, and
for
needed
sure.
somewhere. At the time I was staying at a friend's house and I just started going really hardcore into it. I was like, you know what? Like, who's next? Who's next? And who's next? And then just after a while, it just turned into that's how I made my money. So I did that for,
Is there, for people who are maybe thinking about getting into that, they're an artist, but they, want to learn and they want to get into that. Is it good steady money? Is it like, for instance, you see people who like cut hair, for instance, right? And they're like, they build a clientele and they're always working. Um, when you're working as a tattoo artist in LA, especially, there's a lot of people who love the culture and always looking for it almost as therapy, right? To get a
yeah.
new piece on them and to deal with that kind of quiet time there's something about the pain, right? There's a little bit of joy in the suffering, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
all of that. Can you talk to us about, you know, what it was like working as a tattoo artist? Was it a good living? Do you recommend it? Things like that. What can you share with us about the business aspect of it?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. You got to have a good back for it because you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
You get carpal tunnel, all that good stuff. You get it while the getting's good. You know what I'm saying?
that's
Because
interesting.
it doesn't last forever. Your eyes will go out on you eventually. You'll either need to get some glasses and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But I mean, while you're young and your heart is in it, I mean, go for it, get it. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah.
it's definitely not easy because over here, there's tattoo artists coming
Bro,
up.
there's
And
competition.
Yeah, it's like I said, those are big shoes to fill. You know what I'm saying? Right now, just like everybody's doing it, so it's like if you don't have something that's like unique or special to offer, it's gonna be hard, you know, because I see a lot of people that are just like offering work for free and stuff like that, and you never want to sell yourself short.
Yeah.
Just stay in the dark, do the work, and when you're ready to come out, you know, charge full price and get what you're worth because you know I sold myself for cheap for a long time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just to survive. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's hard out here for artists, bro. If that's
Oh, for
literally
sure.
all you're the only thing that you're gonna do, you know, I would make sure that you at least have something to fall back on as far as income. You know, another form of income or something. You know.
Yeah, yeah. That's really helpful and really deep. You know, you talked to us that you were at the Hazard's birthday party doing a DJ set, and that's where he was like, "Yo, we need to connect on some music." But talk to us about your DJing, right? Like that, how you got involved in that, how often? Because you're also involved in promoting sets. Look at that, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it was just basically the way I run my set, bro. Like,
yeah,
I usually build my shit up. Like, for instance, like, say, for instance, I'll have something like this, and then, you know, I'll take it into the drums. I already have my own little way of, like, playing with it. And then what I'll do is, like, you know, I have my shit kind of set up where I'll take you on a roller coaster. And
yeah.
that's the best part about my live. It's like, you don't know what's going to happen next.
Oh yeah,
And then, you know, like I said, it's all build ups, take it away, we'll bring it back, and we'll go into something new. And I think that's just basically what caught his attention when we were just, you know, because I was just kind of doing my thing, and that's what it was. But um, again, when we connected, it was just kind of me messaging him, and I was just like, "Yo, I think we need to get something going." You know what I'm saying? Because he had did seen my live, and he was like, "You know what, bro? You're right. You know what I'm saying? Like, you do have something. You have the recipe for what I like, and I think that's
yeah.
just where me and him kind of connect on that part. You know?
Yeah. So for your DJ sets, I mean, are you playing music and then working beats in also and working in sound effects? Like, how would you describe it? Because you got the beat machine right there, but are you also playing like, songs that they would recognize and then you work beats in? How does a set look like?
I just pretty much it's all my shit. It's just all my shit. Like
Wow.
I don't actually DJ, brother. Like I do a set on just the drum machine
You do like a
itself.
live beat set.
A live beat set, pretty much, and it's just all like chopped up samples and drums and you know like the way I put it together though is like a DJ because I've been honored and like I said I've been blessed to be around a lot of talented people. A lot of my friends are DJs, you know. So I've watched them how they do sets and you know it's all about how you build and climax and take stuff away and bring it
Yeah.
back. So I kind of understood that as part of like, if I'm gonna run a set, I need to do that too, without
Yeah.
having to be a DJ, because then I would have to learn how to like. I mean, don't get me wrong, like I could scratch and do some stuff like that, but I'm not no mix master. I don't know how to do none of that stuff, you know, and then I
Yeah.
won't sit
Yeah.
there and pretend like I know how either, you know. So the best
Yeah.
thing that I can do is use what I know how to use, and that's my equipment, and that's this thing right here, my drum machine, and these are made for live performances, you
Yeah.
know.
Oh yeah, for sure.
They're made for that, you know. So I just kind of took I mean, it took me a few years to kind of get my live performance down, but I was like, you know what? Like, if I'm gonna go do a live performance, I need to do a live performance. I can't just be pressing play and just standing there and just looking at everybody's reactions. I need to get them to react. I need to make them react. You know what I mean? And the only way to do that is to give them something to do that too. You know, and
Yeah.
um,
Yeah,
so
so
that's
when he
kind of
heard that, he actually was listening to your beats, listening to the way you were producing the actual sets, and he could get a feel for the energy that you were generating.
Oh yeah, he was definitely hyping it up as well. I mean, started rapping and stuff like that. Like because I mean, generally, you hear stuff like that, and most. I mean, I'm trying to,
Yeah, a
but
freestyle starts, a
yeah,
cipher starts.
yeah, most cats want to rap, and it was really cool in the beginning where like all the homies and like I said I'm blessed to know a lot of artists and a lot of friends and a lot of the homies would always like pop up and be like yo let me grab the mic, and it's like yo bro, like at some point, like if you really want to rap on these beats, you got to come either show up to my pad, either help me make one, be there while I make one.
Yeah,
Like I've done so many things for artists where I've picking people up, I brought them to my house, I fed them. You know what I'm saying? And then they're over there writing down a list of beats that they're gonna want to go home with, and then I have to still take them home. You know,
right. A lot of work,
yeah, and these fools ain't giving me no gas money, you know what I'm saying?
right?
And none of this shit, bro. And it's like, yo,
They
give me
don't
some
finish
time.
the songs. The
Yeah,
the beats are kind of like the
yeah,
beats are in limbo. You can't give them to somebody else because they gotta kind of have them. You're like,
yeah,
come
because it's
on,
like,
bro.
and then I sat there and I've had to so many times, and I've had to be the guy where it's like, if you have anything that's over a year old or 2 years ago or 3 years ago, bro, like don't use it anymore, please. Like
Yeah,
you don't have permission to use it, especially if it's not fully paid for or it
yeah,
hasn't been compensated. You know what I'm saying? Like, please do me a favor and don't do that. I was trying to help you out at a time where I was willing to work with everybody because I used to put out open invites and be like, yo, like I'll be working on this, I'll be working on that from this time to that. Anybody that responded was more than welcome to pull up. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
I was opening up my house to that shit. And
Wow.
now that everybody wants that shit, I'm like, no, it don't work that way no
Right,
more, bro.
right.
Like
Now that
I
you're
did
going
that for a
viral.
long, I did that for too long already, bro. And you guys all like, you couldn't come through on it, and that was making me work double time on that. And as much as I would want to work with a lot of these cats, it's like, bro, you got to step your shit up the same way I did.
Yeah,
Especially if you've been in the music longer than me. I'm new at this. I'm a new booty the way I see it. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like I just can't understand how unprofessional some of these guys are sometimes. But
yeah.
that's when you hit the chopping block and you're like, okay, I'm not gonna follow through with that guy no more. I know how to, you learn how
Yep.
to navigate because
That's true.
you
That's
got to
true.
pick and choose sometimes. I mean, as much as you would like to want to work with everybody, not everybody has the same work ethic.
That's facts. That's facts. You know, when we were talking a little bit about how you connected with Hazard and he saw you at his birthday party. You've been on the 40-ounce freestyle. You know, many of them months going. That's such a big platform that he's created. But you've worked with other people. You've connected with people like XP the Marksman, Mijo Music. Talk to us about that connection.
Right there with XP, bro. He's kind of like when I moved out here to San Fernando. I didn't know nobody. My boy Vision, rest in peace. He's like, yo, he's like, why don't you link up with XP? And I was like, shit, because he was like, because Vision came to my pad and he's like, he lives like not far from here, and I was like, I don't know, I didn't talk to him like that. And me and XP, we've been in the same places for many years, but we never
Yeah.
really hit it off like that.
The city is
And
big, bro. You could have complete whole careers and people don't run into each other.
right? And so we connected, and then we started. I started smoking, with this fool, and then we started hopping on the video game. We started playing some online gaming and stuff like that, and it just kind of trickled down, and then I was like, bro, like I could help you out. If you need help with promo and stuff like that, I'll help you,
Yeah,
bro. Like I was, at the time he had just dropped. I think it was Nomads with Ice Rocks. So,
yeah.
I went and I scooped up the album from him, you know what I'm saying? And then
Wow.
he was doing like the show at like Rock Marciano.
Yeah.
And I was like, bro, like if you need a hype man, I got you, bro. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So I hyped man for him a few times, at least like 4 or 5 times.
That's super
Um,
solid.
so we've kind of connected on multiple things, and we've talked about doing a full project ourselves.
Yeah.
But so they were kind of working on the RA project. They were kind of getting together to work on that, and they hit me up. So when I pulled up with some beats, they hadn't even started yet, and then I just kind of just started playing some beats, and they were like, boom, like that one right there. So that kind of set it off, and I got like maybe 3 or 4 on that album. So we
Wow.
need to press these guys. We need to tell them, yo, we need to push that RA album, bro, because I want to
Yeah,
hear that shit, bro. You know what I'm
that's
saying?
dope. Absolutely. That's good, man. That's good. What other artists have you worked with that you want to share with folks?
Right now, I actually got some stuff with I mean, I hope he doesn't get mad at me, but nah, Capital I Man, I actually shot him something recently from the Mexican, so he's actually
Wow.
working on something himself. I don't want to ruin it for him, but
Yeah, yeah,
again,
yeah.
I've got some, but I've got other artists that I'm looking forward to working with as well. You know what I'm saying? I got also something coming up with my boy DJ Seedless. Another artist, he's worked with like Razkaz and Mr.
Wow.
CR. He's another talented individual. He could rap, he could DJ, he makes beats and stuff like that. He does engineering and stuff like that. So I got like a little EP that I'm gonna be working on with him as well. But I'm just kind of really just trying to look forward to just getting this project with Hazard out. Actually,
That's dope.
I got another one that actually it's gonna be all nothing but like 16-bit video game beats, and it's gonna
Oh, the samples from like 16-bit video. Oh, that's
yeah.
dope.
So actually I'm gonna try to put that together with DJ Luman. I want him to be a part of that. We've kind of talked about it, so hopefully we can actually get that going. But for the most part, just trying to get that. And then obviously recently I talked to Duke. He wants to get another studio crack in, so he wants to talk to me about being the producer right there with him. So that would be actually
Wow. That would be
super cool. You
amazing.
know what I'm saying? So yeah, exactly. That would be super amazing. Because honestly,
Yeah.
he's a real creative mind, brother. Like trust me, like here. I know that he 10 times what he could do. You know what I'm saying? With a lot of,
Absolutely.
you know what I'm saying. There's so many people that he could just outwork, and he can't even move, bro. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? And
yeah.
he
God
does so
bless
much.
him. And technology is I think helping him and a lot of people um, have more resources, right? More ability to kind of like make things come to fruition that maybe were more difficult just a few years ago.
Yeah,
In other interviews, people have talked about specifically how Big Duke is. Now with the help of some of the technology, maybe even thinking about putting together an album and doing things with his
with his
voice. So
voice.
it's really spectacular whether technology, sometimes it's whack the way that technology is being used, and sometimes it's very special. And this is a
Right,
case where it's
right.
very special. Talk to us about, this is a great moment to segue into another hat that you've worn, which is promoting, organizing, and how you came in contact with Cycle Realm and, Six Side Army and all of that.
Oh, just being always a fan of them. I was just always kind of connected through like social media and shit like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, around 2007. They threw out an invite for the Land of the Shadows video shoot, which was going to be out in downtown. And so I told one of my boys, I'm all, hey, we need to go to this shit. Because I had just introduced him to the music, and he was just like already like, yo, he's all, this is
It's
dope,
a whole
bro.
universe. It was like a
Yeah,
whole universe. He was like, whoa.
I've introduced a lot of people to the music of Cycle Realm. So the fact that I introduced him to it and he was pumped, I'm like, we need to go. So he was down. Even my boss, because I showed him at the time what I was doing. He was like, yeah, man. He's like, you can leave work early. Go ahead. So we left. We showed up, and we, not knowing nobody, we walked over, and Jack was like, he said, "What's up?" So I looked at my boy. I'm like, "That's Jack right there, dog." He said, "What's up?" Let's go say what's up. You know what I mean? So we walked up, and Jack ended up being the most humblest dude. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Shook hands, and they're talking about the Raiders and all that shit. You know what I'm saying? And then the producers kind of came up, and they're like, "You're a primary. Come here, put on this hat and this jacket, and go get your face painted and all that shit." You know what I'm saying? So I got like a lot of little up close shots in the Land of the Shadows video
Bro, how
shoot.
did that feel like?
It was super cool, bro. I was like, wow, I can't believe it was happening at the time. So that was 2007, and then obviously still being a fan. handful of years later, I was kind of working at this delivery service that was kind of connected, you know what I mean, with, you
Yeah.
know, everybody. And then one day I was at the tattoo shop working, and the dude hit me up, the homie, and he was like, hey, he's like, Duke wants to meet you. And I was like, oh, no
Wow.
shit. Like, all right, you know what I'm saying? So I left work again early, you know what I mean, at the other spot. And
So at that moment in time, like you obviously love their music. You had been in the music video, right? You're in music. What part of did they know about your dad? Did they know that you were a writer? Did they know what did they know? Like did they know that you were promoting? Like what part of because you bring so many talents and rich history to the table.
I think the only thing that really Duke really understood about me at the time was that I was just like I guess a good artist, and that I was a tattooer at the time, because I was
Yeah.
doing like tattooing parties. I've tattooed like Corrupt's bodyguard, Big T.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Um, so the word was kind of getting around that I was doing tattoos and stuff, and a certain particular group. And Duke was like, he wanted to reach out. And so I did some artwork for him, and then just kind of little by little, Duke was already, like I said, he's a mastermind. He was already had him putting shows together and stuff like that. So
Wow.
like any help that they needed, I was just kind of like, yo, like, let me know what I could do. I mean, fast forward a couple years later, bro, he ended up making me a captain of the street team for him, and just stuff, just kind of, went on and on. I was always at the events and stuff. I would
And we're
always
talking
show up.
about like the shows that they do in LA and like Psycho de
Yeah,
Mayo and things like that.
yeah, stuff like that. Yeah, because they had doing like the shows at the Whiskey a Go Go with like with Slain, and then they did like the La Coca Nostra. Like Slain did
Yeah,
an
yeah,
album
that
release
because they were
party right
involved
there.
with, or Sick Jacket was involved with La Coca
Yeah.
Nostra. But when the East Coast cats come to LA, these are the big dogs in LA that they want to connect with, and it's the real underground hip hop.
Yeah, I got to be a part of and see some really dope shows by just being, there, like helping out with the booth, with the merch and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So I would show up like with my canvases, like this. Also, like this is one of my canvases that I've done. This ain't going nowhere. That's actually got like
Wow.
Big Duke gave Sick Jack permission to autograph his name on my art.
Wow.
So, that to me means a lot. That ain't going
Yeah.
nowhere. That's a special piece right there.
Absolutely.
But I would always show up with my artwork, and one day after a show, Jack was just like, "Hey, bro," he's like, how come you don't sell your art at the booth?" And I was like, "Well,
I
shit,
know you're like, bro. I never
I was
like
like,
you're
I didn't
there.
know that,
You're there like in
I didn't."
support.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't know that I could, bro. But I mean, you let me know. And he was like, all right. He was, I'll talk to Soda at the time. He was the guy that was, running his merch for him. And he's like, we'll see what we come up with as far as a percentage and stuff. So I reached out to him like a few days later or a week later. I was just pumped on it. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I messaged him. I was like, hey, Jack, like, if you really meant what you said about me selling my artwork at the booth, like I'd be more than willing to like just give you half of whatever I make, bro. You know what
Yeah,
I
because
mean?
you're just getting exposure to so many people. Your pieces are gonna move.
Yeah, I was just down for the movement, bro, and Jack was like, nah. Like he's shout out to Jack again, he
Yeah.
was just like, no, you got a family, bro, you know what I'm saying? I got kids and stuff, and he was like, nah, man, I think we'll do 20%. He's all twenty
Yeah.
percent is good,
That's
bro. You know
solid.
what I'm saying? And then even my other homie, Anthony LA, shout out to him. Anytime I would tell him a price on a canvas, this one would be like, I would walk away or some shit and come back and be like, oh, I sold a canvas for you. And it'd be like, he would make the price like $20, $40 more or some shit, you know what I'm saying? And I'd be like, bro, as long as you give me what I was asking for, if you made a little extra, dog, that's your cut, dog, as a
Yeah,
salesman,
that's the
dog.
way it works.
You know what I mean? Like if you were to negotiate it, bro, and that's what you did, just give me what I was asking. By all means, you know what I mean? And just like I said again, we had the street team after that, and just I wasn't even making music at that point. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
It was just not until maybe to like 2016 did I really get into like really wanting to do that for myself. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't nothing that I would wanted to do for attention or any of that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I've been in the dark for a long time with this.
Yeah, mastering the craft.
That's the only way, brother. That's the only way. You got to have your product right, man.
Yeah. For people who are into beat making or thinking about it themselves, right? They'll listen to music that you've done. They'll listen to the 40-ounce freestyles or work you've done with XP, and they're like, yo, how do I create? What can you share with us in regards to what hardware you're using, what software you're using? How do you make your beats?
Me personally, I started off on Fruity Loops, just to kind of get to understand the language,
Yeah.
just the overall language of things. You know what I'm saying? These kids are real savvy on computers these days.
Yeah.
My son, he actually makes beats himself.
That's dope.
He goes by Little Cash Benji's on Instagram as well. He's also been on 40 Ounce Fridays.
Oh,
He's done
that's
his little set.
dope.
Yeah. So he's he'll tell you himself, he likes Fruity Loops, but he's also into, I got him into Akai as well with the standalone and stuff like that. Cause you gotta be able to do both,
Yeah.
I don't really mess with Fruity Loops myself so much. I'm more into just the standalone with the Akai. I'm comfortable right there. I don't want to say comfortable, but I like that flow.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, if anybody that wanted to start off, I would, recommend Fruity Loops. I mean, there's obviously other ones like Logic and Reason and stuff like that. Get a controller and just learn the language of it. You know what I'm saying? And to me, I mean, man, I wouldn't change a thing. You know what I'm saying? I like the learning process of it. Like I said, I've had people like EQ, rest in peace, other homie Frankie Valentine that I've been able to like lean on for a few pointers as far as advice and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
get your hands dirty. You know what I'm saying? Press some buttons and see what it does. And there's undo for that, or don't save it and
Yeah.
reload your project. There's many ways to try to be creative and still not lose your progress and stuff like that.
Yeah. There's no substitute for the hours, bro. There's no shortcuts.
No.
You gotta put the time in the gym. You know what I'm saying? You gotta hurt and pain and you have to cry and not know how it,
Oh,
and then over time you
yeah.
figure it out and
Oh,
there's no shortcut for it.
we've talked about this, bro. Where like tears are hitting the drum pads, bro. Like, cause sometimes you're just going through some nasty things in life,
Yeah.
whether you lost somebody or like you never know. You know what I'm saying? And you might be feeling a certain way, and sometimes hitting that drum pad is just the only. If you're not hitting the drum pad, hit the punching bag. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Either way, you're gonna get the same feeling.
That's good. That's
It's gonna
good.
feel good.
Yeah. You shared with us early in the interview that a lot of the sounds that you got were from EQ that passed away. He's a, incredible um, producer, engineer, had so much impact on the hip hop scene, especially in Los Angeles. What can you share with us about, his impact on you? Maybe some stories. Since he's no longer here, I think it's good to capture his stories and his contributions as best as we can for future generations. What can you share with us about, how he helped you, things that are stories that are between you and him in regards to the music and to the culture.
I think that I don't think that. I mean, I could be doing this still, but I don't think honestly the punch and my drums would be there. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah,
I get a lot of compliments always about like the drums that I use. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like I always, excuse me, the compliments that I get is just like always banging drums,
yeah,
banging ass drums. You know what I'm saying? And honestly, bro, like I've gotten drum packs from like cats like C Lance, and much respect to C Lance and stuff.
yeah,
But a lot of primary of my drums I use are drums that I've gotten from EQ, and it's just because they got that grimy, and just even listening to the way some of the drums that I've gotten from him has kind of taught me how to just go into even my own vinyl or other, samples and just kind of yank the drums and kind of add my own little spices to that shit.
yeah, yeah,
But I definitely don't think that most or part of my sound would be the same if I didn't have those drums from EQ himself. You know, rest in peace to EQ, brother. And
Wow.
you know, there, like I said, there would have been times where like I would like, damn, such and such happened, and I wouldn't even necessarily be even reaching out to him for help. It would be like a post of me just venting my frustration, you know what I'm saying, or something. And basically, you know, he would reach out to me and be like, hey, brother, like send me a screenshot or send me like a picture or something of what's your problem
Wow.
or your issue, bro. And I'd be like, oh fuck, bro. Boom, boom. Next thing you know, I'm in the messenger
Not
with going
everybody
back and
does
forth
that.
with
As a
a.
matter of fact, not many people do that.
Not everybody will do that shit. You know what I'm saying? Not even I. Not even I. I don't have time
Yeah.
for that shit to be
Yeah.
sunning people and shit. You know what I'm saying? You know,
Yeah.
and he really like I felt like he kind of like took me under one of his wings. You know what I'm saying? And sat there and blessed me with a little bit of that knowledge, bro. You know what I'm saying? And I'll be forever grateful for that. I've this is not the first time, and it won't be the last time that I've mentioned it or said that. You know.
That's beautiful, man. That's beautiful. You recently had a birthday, bro. Happy belated birthday. Talk to us about being
Thank you, man.
shouted out on the 40-ounce freestyle.
Oh, brother, you know, just another year, another day. You know what I mean for me, but you know, I try to celebrate it differently this year. You know what I'm saying, and that's through hip
Was
hop,
that your
bro.
actual birthday when you guys were shooting that 40-ounce freestyle?
My birthday was on the 13th, and I think we did that the day before on the
Yeah,
12th.
that's
Yeah, so it
dope.
was just kind of like in between. You know what I mean? But you know, the fact that, you know, it was just there, we just kind of celebrated it, you know, and just made it like, you know, that was the whole focal of it, you know. Shout out to my boy Hazard for, you know, putting me on the platform and allowing me to do that, you know what
Yeah,
I'm
bro,
saying?
you had the
Through,
he's got his
through
little
40 ounce
plushes. You got
Freddy.
his 40-ounce
Yeah,
plush. You had the
through
homie on your shoulder.
teaching 40 ounce Freddy how to make some beats, you know what I mean? Got, you know,
Bro, he's got 40-ounce Freddy. 40-ounce Freddy's got a 40-ounce himself. That shit's hilarious. The 40-ounce has a 40-ounce.
Yeah, man. You know, just that's me of paying it forward. You know, showing 40 ounce Freddy how it's done,
That's
bro.
dope, man. That's dope. 40-ounce Freddy gonna meet he need to drop an album.
Soon, coming soon. We're gonna have him. We're gonna have a little skit on the project with 40 ounce Freddy.
That's good, man. The one of the things that's another thing that's kind of like, parallel to hip hop, but that you also know about, right, is cannabis. What can you share with us about, just personally favorite strains, favorite brands? What do you like to smoke?
For me personally, bro, I stick with anything that's indica. You know what I'm saying? But most of the time, everybody hears like, oh, it's indica dominant. You know what I mean? Because everything's fucking a hybrid and all that shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But the homie, Balls to the Walls, he's got some real fire, bro. Super fire. Um, you know, usually, I mean, I just kind of go to the underground sessions, bro. You know, LA is real underground, bro. You know,
LA is like almost the whole city's almost invite only.
I'm not really too like how do you say like where everyone's like I gotta have the exotics, you know, everyone's gotta be like about their cookies and all that good shit, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But there is one brand, CBX Cannabiotics, I will tell you, they're super fire. But I'm in the underground, you know what I mean? I stick with the underground sessions, you know what I'm saying? And you know, it's always by word of mouth. In LA, if you've been in the scene, you know where to get your green, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. That's really, really good, my brother.
My favorite strain, I gotta say, over time, it would be King Louis the 13th would be like my all time ultimate favorite.